The morning sun filtered through the dense canopy of the forest, casting dappled patterns of light and shadow on the narrow dirt path. Two friends, laughter spilling freely, walked side by side, their backpacks bouncing lightly with each step. The air was crisp and alive, carrying the scent of damp earth and blooming wildflowers. Birds chirped overhead, and somewhere in the distance, the faint rush of a stream added a gentle melody to the symphony of the forest. It was the perfect day for adventure. The two friends had been planning this hike for weeks, eager to escape the humdrum of their village and explore the vast wilderness beyond. Their conversation bounced from silly jokes to dreams of future exploits, each word reinforcing the bond between them. There was a sense of freedom in the air, a feeling that the forest belonged to no one but them and that they, for now, belonged to it. As they walked, their eyes caught every detail. The way the sunlight glinted off a spider's web, the sudden rustle of a squirrel leaping between branches, the delicate sway of ferns in the gentle breeze. They were alive to the forest in a way that only true explorers could be, noticing both the grandeur and the smallest wonders around them. Yet beneath the laughter and excitement, a faint unease lingered, subtle and easy to ignore. The forest, though beautiful, was also a place of wildness, of life and death that operated on rules far older than human understanding. Every shadow, every sound could carry a warning, if only they were alert enough to listen. The two friends didn't notice. Their focus was on each other, their camaraderie, and the thrill of adventure. The path twisted ahead, disappearing into thicker woods where sunlight barely reached the ground. It was an invitation and a challenge, promising both beauty and danger. Little did they know, the carefree day they imagined was about to take a sudden, terrifying turn. Nature, with its quiet patience and hidden power, was waiting. And within minutes, the friends would encounter a force that would test not just their courage, but the very bond that held them together. The forest seemed innocent, almost welcoming, but it was a stage set for a lesson in fear, loyalty, and survival, one they would never forget. The two friends walked along the narrow forest path, their laughter echoing through the tall, shadowy trees. Birds chirped overhead, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of damp earth. It was a perfect day for an adventure, or so they thought. Suddenly, the peaceful sounds of the forest were shattered by a low, guttural growl. Both friends froze. The air felt heavier, almost charged. From the thick underbrush, a massive bear stepped out, its dark eyes fixed on them. Every muscle in its body rippled with power, and its sharp claws scraped against the forest floor. The friends exchanged a glance, their hearts pounding in unison. The forest, moments ago alive with calm, now felt like a trap. Time seemed to slow. The bear moved closer, sniffing the air, its growl deepening. The first friend's hands trembled, and he stumbled back, looking for an escape. Panic surged, clouding his thoughts. The second friend, though terrified, tried to remain calm. He knew sudden movements could provoke the bear, and yet, every instinct screamed at him to run. The forest around them seemed to close in. Trees that had been tall and welcoming now felt like looming walls. The sound of their own breathing, rapid and uneven, filled their ears. Leaves rustled as the bear shifted its massive weight, eyes never leaving the friends. Every instinct screamed danger, this was no ordinary encounter. In that moment, the reality of the situation hit them with full force. They were not just in the forest, they were in the bear's territory. Every survival instinct screamed, move carefully, don't panic, and hope the animal ignores you. The tension was unbearable, like the calm before a storm, and the friends realized that their fate depended entirely on their choices in the next few heartbeats. Fear, primal and raw, surged through them. Every shadow seemed larger, every sound more menacing. Their playful adventure had transformed into a fight for survival. It was a moment that would define them, testing courage, instincts, and the bonds of friendship in the harshest way imaginable. The bear was closer now, and the forest was silent except for the soft rustling of leaves. There was no room for hesitation. The bear's growl rumbled through the forest like distant thunder, vibrating the ground beneath their feet. The first friend's eyes widened as adrenaline surged through his veins. Every instinct screamed, run. Now. But the forest was dense, the path narrow, and the bear was faster than he had ever imagined. Panic took over. He glanced at his companion, whose face was frozen in terror, yet standing firm. The sight barely registered. All he could think about was survival. Without another word, he pivoted sharply and sprinted toward the nearest tree, branches stretching skyward like arms ready to catch him. His heart thumped violently, each beat echoing in his ears. The bear noticed the movement instantly. Its growl deepened, a warning, a promise. But the first friend didn't hesitate. He grabbed the rough bark, hands scraping as he clawed his way up. Each branch seemed a tiny victory, each inch gained a momentary relief. He could hear the crunch of leaves beneath the bear's heavy paws, smell its musky scent mixed with the damp forest air. Fear twisted in his stomach, but the instinct to survive was stronger. Once he reached a sturdy branch, he perched high above the ground, chest heaving, legs trembling. From this vantage point, he watched the bear circle below, a terrifying, living shadow. His mind raced with a cocktail of relief and guilt. Relief that he was safe for now. Guilt that he had abandoned his friend, leaving him on the forest floor, exposed. From his high perch, the first friend realized something unsettling. Survival wasn't just about speed or strength, it was about choices, and choices came with consequences. He could see the fear in his friend's eyes, the courage mixed with vulnerability, and it gnawed at him. He had acted instinctively, but instinct alone wasn't enough to define a true friend. Up in the tree, branches swaying under his weight, he clung tightly, trembling yet alert. Every movement below made him flinch. His heart was still racing, but amid the fear, a thought burned bright: moments like these reveal who we truly are. And he knew he had a decision to make once the bear moved on, a decision that would test his courage and loyalty even further. The forest, once a place of playful adventure, had transformed into a crucible. From the tree, he watched, waiting, fearing, learning that fear alone could not guide a man through a moment of truth. While his friend scrambled up the tree, the second friend stood frozen on the forest floor, heart hammering like a drum. The bear loomed before him, immense and terrifying, its dark eyes fixed on every twitch of his body. Every nerve screamed at him to run, but he was rooted to the spot, paralyzed by fear and disbelief. The ground beneath him seemed to shift. Leaves crunched under the bear's heavy paws as it took a step closer, sniffing the air. Sweat poured down his face, his clothes clinging uncomfortably. He swallowed hard, trying to calm his racing mind, but the primal fear was overpowering. He knew that one wrong move could provoke the beast. One sudden motion, and it would all be over. He thought of his friend above him, safe for the moment, and felt a pang of guilt. Yet, he couldn't move, not yet. Survival demanded patience, awareness, and courage he hadn't known he possessed. He remembered something his father once said. Sometimes the bravest act is to stay still when fear wants you to flee. The bear shifted its weight, growling low, a sound that vibrated through the earth. The second friend forced himself to breathe slowly, in and out, counting each second like a lifeline. He avoided eye contact, hoping the creature would see him as harmless, just another figure in its forest. Each muscle tensed, ready to react if the bear lunged, but also ready to remain motionless if it didn't. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The forest, once full of comforting sounds, was now eerily silent, save for the subtle rustling of leaves under the bear's paws. Time seemed to warp, each heartbeat echoing in his skull. He realized that courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was moving forward despite it. Then, almost imperceptibly, the bear paused. It sniffed the air again, glanced at the tree, and slowly turned away, disappearing into the shadows. Relief crashed over him like a wave. His legs shook violently as he sank to the ground, tears mingling with sweat. He had survived, not by fleeing or hiding, but by staying calm and trusting his instincts. In that moment, the second friend understood a profound truth: fear could test the limits of a man, but courage, patience, and presence of mind could turn even the most terrifying danger into a lesson in strength. And from that day forward, he would never forget the balance between fear and bravery, instinct and wisdom. The bear loomed over the second friend, a living mountain of muscle and power. Its eyes, dark and unreadable, seemed to weigh him down, as if the forest itself held its breath. Every step the bear took made the earth tremble slightly beneath him, and each rustle of leaves sounded like a drumbeat of impending doom. The second friend froze, muscles locked in a mixture of fear and instinct. He forced himself to remain calm, slowly lowering his shoulders and keeping his gaze just off to the side. The bear sniffed the air, nostrils flaring, catching the scent of fear and sweat. It stepped closer, towering over him, its growl low and menacing, vibrating through the air like a warning from nature itself. Time seemed to stretch. The friend felt every second in excruciating detail, the rough bark of the tree where his friend clung, the sticky sweat on his palms, the cold chill of the forest floor. His mind raced, imagining every possible outcome, yet deep down he knew this moment demanded patience and clarity over panic. Then, as if sensing something beyond hunger or instinct, the bear hesitated. It studied him carefully, pausing mid-step. The air was thick with tension. The friend's heartbeat pounded so loudly he thought the bear must hear it, yet the giant animal did nothing. It sniffed again, then slowly, deliberately, turned its massive head toward the friend in the tree. Its gaze lingered for a heartbeat, sharp and assessing, before it made a final, decisive move. Without warning, the bear's massive body pivoted and lumbered back into the underbrush, its growl fading into the distance. The forest seemed to exhale collectively, as if relieved that the threat had passed. The second friend sank to the ground, shaking, his legs trembling as the reality of survival hit him fully. He had faced the bear, stayed still under unimaginable pressure, and somehow emerged unharmed. From his perch, the first friend watched the bear disappear, understanding for the first time the full weight of what had just occurred. The forest, once threatening and alive with danger, returned to its natural rhythm, the birds chirping, the wind whispering through the leaves, but the friends were forever changed. In that moment, both realized the bear's presence wasn't just a test of fear, it was a lesson in courage, wisdom, and restraint. Survival wasn't about speed, strength, or hiding, it was about respect, patience, and understanding the forces beyond one's control. And in that lesson lay the heart of true friendship. The forest had returned to its calm, the rustle of leaves and the distant bird song slowly replacing the echo of the bear's growl. The two friends finally climbed down from their hiding places, each step tentative, their muscles stiff from tension and adrenaline. The first friend's eyes met the second friend's, and in that silent glance, the weight of the moment was understood. Relief washed over them, but it was mixed with a quiet shame. The first friend had fled instinctively, leaving his companion on the ground, and the second friend had faced the bear alone, relying on courage and patience. Neither spoke at first, words seemed inadequate to capture the gravity of what they had survived. Yet the silence was heavy with lessons, unspoken but undeniable. After a long pause, the first friend finally said, voice trembling slightly, I should have stayed with you. His words hung in the air, raw and honest. The second friend shook his head, a small, tired smile breaking through his fear. We survived. That's what matters. But yes, we've learned something important. They sat down on a fallen log, breathing deeply, hearts still racing, minds replaying the bear's every movement. In the quiet, a truth became clear: friendship isn't measured by laughter in easy times, but by loyalty and trust in the face of danger. Instinct may drive people to act selfishly, but courage allows them to rise above fear and make choices that define character. The forest around them, once a place of adventure and carefree exploration, now felt sacred, a reminder that nature is powerful, and life is fragile. The bear had tested them, not to punish, but to reveal the strength and flaws within themselves. Each had faced fear in their own way, but only together could they fully understand its lesson. Finally, the first friend reached over and clasped his companion's hand, a silent promise forming between them. They had survived, yes, but they had also grown, learning that true friendship demands presence, courage, and trust. From that day forward, they would carry the memory of the bear, the fear, and the forest with them, a constant reminder that in moments of peril, loyalty is more valuable than life itself. The forest returned to normal, yet the friends knew that nothing would ever be the same. They walked home slowly, side by side, hearts aligned, knowing that the bond forged in fear and strengthened by trust was unbreakable. And in that, they found a moral that would last a lifetime: a friend in need is a friend indeed.